everyone. This is Maria Morales from LowKick MMA, and today I have the pleasure of being joined by the PFL 4 headliner, at least one half of the headliner, Brittney Elkin. Brittney, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So listen, I want to jump in because I know that you've talked to a couple of people. And one of the things that I found interesting was the idea that you actually had like retired, like you were planning on not necessarily being active. I mean, I know you're still active in the sport and in the industry, but more so behind the scenes. So with that, I got to ask you, would you have come out of retirement for any other fight?
I think it would have had to have appealed to me. I mean, I'm not just going to fight at your local, I mean, that's sad to say because I love a lot of local promoters. The fight would have had to appeal to me. And this one did, like, stylistically, like I was like, wow, how cool to have this extreme boxer want to face the MMA cage, and then how cool to be asked to be one of the opponents in the ring and just be a part of this phenomenal moment. I actually had said out loud in jiu-jitsu practice, like, because somebody wing danced for me because I just had moved out to the East Coast and they were trying to familiar with me. And they asked me about that, and I was like, man, somebody would have to pay me 30 grand to get in a cage to get back out there. Nobody's gonna fucking do that. And well, here we are. So it's funny. It's not about the money for me. I didn't take this for money. I'm actually comfortable in my career choices, and I live a very busy life. I spin a lot of plates. I do a lot of different jobs, and so financially, that's not the only reason. Everybody loves money. I mean, I'm gonna definitely like the bigger payday. But I took this fight because I was like, wow, that's a pretty cool opportunity, and I couldn't find a reason not to take this fight. I mean, my son is 15 grown and is almost a young man. I'm completely healthy. I was in shape preparing for other things that I wanted to take on. And yeah, it just was like, all right, let's give this a shot, because it is a real neat opportunity to be in this fight,
Absolutely. And I just want to talk about this a little bit before we kind of get more into the X's and O's, but I know that Claressa has said more than once that, like, this is obviously a huge challenge for her, and while she feels like she's up to the task, at the end of the day, she feels like if she can, get this first win and really start building her career in MMA, then in a way it kind of validates women's boxing or the idea of women's combat sports. So I want to ask you, what's in the reverse? Do you feel like if you pull out this win that it makes any type of statement for women's MMA overall?
I mean, I think it just makes a statement in general. I mean, I don't think it's like a versus. I mean, combative sports, this could happen or this could happen. We could see so many different options and so many different playouts. And I mean, who knows? What if a wheel kick happens? The truth is this is huge for women's combative sports. And that's another reason why I took it. There can be all the shit talk and all the mean words in between, but like, what an opportunity. How often do we have such a high level boxer in women's sports? I mean, these things have happened in men's, but then go in and fight. I like to consider myself a high level ground person. So it's a neat opportunity just in general. Like, I don't want to like say that I have to take on some kind of like, what does this do for women's sports there? I think the fight in general really brings awareness to both sports, and then also like creates a cool fan base for the stylist matchup,
Absolutely. And I know that you've said that you feel like as a fan, this is just a fight that you would want to watch. And you kind of called yourself like this jiu-jitsu girl, right? So with that said, going into this camp, where is the focus? I mean, you've already, been very candid about the idea that, like, clearly you're not going to be like, yeah, I'm just going to stand and bang with her, like, dot, dot, dot. So where is the focus in this camp?
I mean, like, it's a distance game here. I don't want to be in her distance, and I want to keep her, inside her. I want to be inside or outside of it. A lot of the focus of this camp is getting to what Brittney does best, and like, how do we get there safely? How do we get there the most safe, less
Mhm.
damaging. And we set up the camp that way. I obviously would love to get her on the ground. I think if that was, once I get a hold of her, I think she's going to have a real hard time getting away. And so those are the things I'm kind of going into, knowledgeably aware that these are truths. These are truths.
Mhm.
I've tested these truths on different things and I believe in them. So yeah, I want to grab a hold of her. I mean, I want to get my hands on her. I'm not going to stand and try to be an Olympic boxer today. Who
Yeah.
knows what the future holds with all the different fighters transferring into sports. But I do feel very confident in in the striking that I have. It's not Claressa striking. It's not like the exact same. And so I'm going to use those things that I've skillfully developed over a long time and try to just be really in the moment, in the game of seconds and inches.
I think that it's like such a big deal, especially right now in women's MMA, because like just a couple weeks ago, like watching Bellator, we had two names in Valerie Lareda and Janae Harding, which are very heavily touted prospects that are strikers. And we saw Amanda Bell and we saw Hannah Guy go in there and get it done.
Amanda Bell, I fought her twice. She's a dangerous woman, and yeah, I could. Oh man, I didn't get to watch those fights just because of my life is geared towards myself right now. But man, I'm going to take a look at that. I did see stuff about Amanda Bell come up, so that's cool that you bring that up. I'm a fan of Amanda. She's a dangerous woman. I hope I can do that to Claressa, man. I hope that I can bring her into some, the deep, scary forest where she's never seen. There's no map there for her. I think that everybody has a map of like where these moves go to, and I want to take her somewhere she's never been.
Yeah.
And I think it's really hard to figure out those things in the first and second round. I've definitely been hit before. So I'm going to try to avoid being hit, especially by power shots, avoid being led into her game by her tactics. Yeah, I mean, I hope that I can pull off an Amanda Bell move. She's one of my friends, and did she just destroy the striker? I wish I knew more about it. So I could
Yeah, so definitely if you get a chance, go and check it out. But she was losing that fight for a minute. And Hardy made a mistake, and being the veteran that she is, she capitalized on it and she eked out the win. So I would definitely encourage. I mean, like
take
I
a
said,
look at that.
it's just as the sport continues to evolve, as we're seeing more women get involved and coming from different disciplines. To me, it's always interesting when you have these matchups that stylistically could very much go one way or the other. And that's why I wanted to ask the question, because obviously she's a striker. Your background, you can do it all, but to your point, do what you do best, right? Like
Yeah,
that's got to be the plan.
yeah.
So let me ask you,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that just finish that to say, yeah, it's just leading into things that prevail for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, here's the one thing that I do want to ask. Obviously, you retired, you came out of retirement for this fight. There's lots of reasons to do so. If you are able to get the win, what's next? Like, will you continue fighting? Do you think you'll go back into retirement? Have you even thought about it?
I have thought about it a lot because I've had so much fun in this camp. I I think I'm a much smarter person, and I would look at everything, how does this benefit me, or how does this, things. Again, I said I have a few careers. I wouldn't want to juggle so many jobs and work. Like, let's say I signed a big contract or something, I would probably lessen my job task life because I have a bunch of responsibilities in
Right.
career. Um, the way this camp went, I definitely would be excited to fight again. I think every fighter gets itchy knuckles and they want to, go back and like, I could be the champion this time. You know, sure. I don't know how to answer that because I had such a wild career. And I'm turning 35 the day after the fight. So
Oh,
it'll,
wow.
yeah, I know. June 11th is my birthday, so hoping for a good birthday. And it's just like, my son is 15. He's, if I signed a 3-fight contract, that would be in his graduating of high school. It just, I don't, know how to answer that without the contract in front of me, because I'm not going to sell myself short. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm only worth $10,000, you know,
Right.
and I'm tired of being only valued at $10,000 or something like that. So if I was offered a $10,000 fight after this, it's going to depend on if I like the fight or not. And, you know, I don't know how to say that right. It's, I need to, if I make a career choice, it's going to be more to, you know, be comfortable in the end of my MMA career, not to like just try to always hold together these camps in the last 10 minutes and stuff, you know.
It's a different way because, you know, I like to dabble in, you know, foresight every once in a while. And so in looking at this matchup, looking at the fact that it's kind of outside of the PFL tournament this year, but we know for a fact that Claressa Shields will be involved in next year's in the 2022 tournament. Would a run at the tournament be something that would pique your interest in 2022?
Yeah, I was very like when that tournament, that's why I broke my arm and retired in the original place, because I had just lost to Kayla, and then Ray called me and said, hey, we are doing this tournament, we want you to be in it. And I was like, oh wow, I would definitely want to be in it. And I mean, I knew Kayla was in there, I was willing to face her again. I mean, I like fighting, you know what I mean? So at that moment I was like, yeah, let's do this. And I went and did a tune-up fight, and Bobby Joe, who was in that tournament, broke my arm in 3 places, you know, and that's why I retired. I mean, $1 million, that's always a great payday, right? But
Right.
again, I would definitely take a serious look at it. Absolutely. I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to make my list that I look at it. And if I find that I want it, I'm going to go for it. You know, money isn't the only thing that makes these fights great. The tournament is a lot of fun. I've done a lot of not MMA tournaments like this, but I've done a lot of like a tournament format in a promotion. And what it does is it does like showcase the fighters' skills in a bunch of different sets really fast. So you get to learn a lot about a bunch of fighters and how they fight, other styles and stuff. So yeah, I'm not going to say no at this moment. I would be open to talking about it because I like fighting.
Fair enough. Well, listen, now I'm going to pick your brain in a different way because, again, you are a fighter, but you are also in the business, which a lot of fighters choose to do and some don't. What's your opinion on this year's tournament? And I mean, I feel like Kayla came out and she made a statement, right? Like not just with her performance, but with
She
her
usually
words.
does, though, doesn't she?
Yeah. And not just, but like her post fight was like hands down one of my favorite post fights ever at this point. But that said, you know, what do you think are her chances on actually repeating this year?
Oh, I mean, Kayla's fucking killing it. I think Kayla will win. And I mean, that's just, you know, I'm not trying to like pick the future. I haven't watched a lot of the other girls because again, my focus the last couple of weeks has just been blinders on.
Right.
But I know like I really am a big fan of Cindy. I've never met her face to face, but we've been like fans for a long time of each other. I'm a fan of a couple of them. It's neat to see them do it twice. I do think Kayla will win, and because I don't know everybody. You know, I'm not trying to look past everybody. I don't know where they're coming from. A lot of these women that are in the 55-pound bout were probably fighting in the 45-pound class before, or have most of their fights at 45. It's a curious look to see them at 55. I don't know a lot of the other women. If I was in the tournament, I would be very aware. But yeah, I'm proud of PFL for creating this because I know that I'm fighting a lot of big ladies in the gym that could use this division, and so I'm definitely happy about it. And I would love to be involved if the tale tells that story. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what story is next for me, but I don't see me going to a different platform, especially with this 155 division. I will never cut to 45 again.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the success of this division is so critical for women's MMA in general because there are some monsters at 155. And, you know, as the sport continues to evolve, we could see that possibly at 165 and 175 as well. And so to like limit it is a little ridiculous to me.
165 division by the time I retired. I don't know if I could retire. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying it would, you got to think like when I started, I was actually just talking to my coach about this. I made 145 for 10 years or something before they even let me have a 55-pound fight. And then I didn't know any other option. And then when I got my 50-pound fight, I just fought so much better. And all of a sudden there was this option. And then it's hard to go, like, I walk around at 185 when they call me usually, and then I start making these cuts. And if they made a 165-pound division, I think eventually it'll fill up. Just, there's women out there. You just got to give them a place to go,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me ask you something else. I mean, so obviously your opponent is a boxer. We're starting to see a lot of cross-pollination these days with more boxers. Well, not a lot of boxers, because honestly, like one of the most successful boxers to do it, especially women's MMA, is Holly Holm. I'm sure, she's Clarissa's teammate. I'm sure Claressa wants to copy that. But on the flip side, we're starting to see a lot of MMA fighters transitioning to boxing or bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
So I got asked by Bare Knuckle Boxing to come on there. I've been to their promotion. They put on a great promotion, and it's just not one that I want to be on, only because I don't know why. I don't want, maybe the damage in my own, I'm okay with damage. I don't want to but it's just not one that I've platformingly looked at for myself. I don't think they offered me enough money to take a bare knuckle fight. And then it's a neat thing to be at, though. I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm not in the crowd and watching it and having fun. I very much enjoy the bare knuckle. And they have a couple of affiliate promotions that I've worked through in Philly that they kind of like are behind the scenes type thing. So I've always had a great experience with them. I just it wasn't the platform I wanted to be on for bare knuckle. And then the other one you mentioned, I forgot what you said.
Yeah, just the idea of, MMA guys transitioning to boxing. So, McGregor did it.
Why not? I mean, because like the truth is I didn't even know what kind of fighter I was until a couple of years ago. Like I would just show up to this practice and be like, kickboxing day, and then show up to this practice and be like, boxing day. And then I was trying to figure out what kind of fighter I was till I finally settled into that. So yeah, I mean, it's neat to see people take chances. And some things are annoying also when you see people
Fair enough. Fair enough. And do you think that, I mean, because obviously, I believe it was Jake Paul has really spoken out in his personal vendetta with Dana White specifically, but just in general about the discrepancy in pay being a real motivator for a lot of MMA guys to get into boxing and for MMA ladies, because right now we have more women that are doing bare knuckle and straight boxing. Do you think that money is actually the main motivator, or do you think that it goes back a little bit more to people really want to just challenge themselves?
I mean, definitely we're putting in all kinds of work, like, I mean, I just got my toll bill from driving all over the country for the fight camp. It's insane, and then, like all the other things. I mean, money is a motivator. I mean, like, I don't think a lot of us are paid enough. I don't think what we put ourselves through. And then you got to think the recovery. I mean, I'm missing 4 teeth and I never got paid for those 4 teeth. They're just gone. You know what I mean? Right. So it's a sacrifice I give for myself. And money, I definitely think they could pay us more. I mean, I don't want to argue who's getting paid and who's not getting paid. I don't know why one gets paid more, like in the world of men's boxing versus the world of men's MMA or blah, 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 or however it goes. Anything, but I don't know. I just think that we deserve a little. That's such a political question. Definitely think that some people are going to lead to a different promotion because it pays more, right. Or definitely think somebody's going to lead to a different promotion because it can put them on a platform to get paid more. Right. Just pay us fucking more.
Yeah. No, listen, political or not, I agree that there's a disparity there that I don't think particularly needs to exist.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are reasons for it, but it's just interesting. MMA's been around forever. The UFC just celebrated their 25-year anniversary a couple of years back. it's interesting that right now is when we're seeing this debate really blow up, even though it's kind of been talked about behind the scenes for years.
Right.
So I'm always curious to hear, because I don't fight, but I'm always curious to hear the opinion of those that do, and kind of where they stand on that. So speaking of opinions, I'm going to hit you with two more just
Okay.
groundbreaking questions, and then I'm going to let you get back to it. Along the same vein of these, mega fights that are happening between MMA and boxing, we had one last night. We've got another one coming up with former UFC champion fighting Tyron Woodley fighting Jake Paul. If you had to give a prediction on that fight, I mean, because listen, the pre-fight presses are already great, but who do you think actually gets it done in the ring?
I think Tyron Woodley will. I just don't think he's going to show up and not take that seriously. I've met him a few times, but I mean, God, I don't know. It's such a weird thing to evaluate, I find it so funny to even talk about that. But yeah, I hope to believe that Tyron Woodley will show up prepared for that. I think that, the man that he is, he at least will show up more prepared than maybe Ben Askren did for that fight. And I don't think Tyrone wants to be as embarrassed, but I mean, those are just my thoughts. I hope Tyrone Woodley shows up more prepared.
Fair enough. And then last one for you. We know that we've got, at least on paper for right now, across all promotions, we've got the big one coming up this summer with Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor in this kind of rubber match. Where do you think that ends? Who do you think pulls out the win? For you.
Conor fought Floyd last, right?
No. He fought Dustin earlier this year.
Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. I've been so disconnected. I have such a bad evaluation on that. Because when I retired MMA, I kind of quit watching. Sorry. Even though Conor's going for Claressa, I'll probably go for Conor in that. But I don't know how to answer that well, because I didn't follow a lot of it, the whole lead up to it. So I just don't want to. I don't know how to answer that well, other than just where my head says. So.
No, fair enough. Well, Brittney, with that, because I know you're super busy and I want to let you go, I tell fighters all the time, like, I don't want to wish you good luck, because you guys worked too hard for this to be luck. But I do hope that all of your preparations pay off for you later this week.
Me too. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Thanks again. Nice meeting you. Have a good one.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.